Wow. Good intro
Hi, welcome.
to Steph and Anja's Media Review, where we review literally anything. We've been doing like a lot of TV shows recently,
What a
so
trend.
here's another one.
Hey, it's good. Apologies for my camera again. It's having a disco party.
You
Apparently.
know what? It's meant to be.
That's
I don't know
fine.
when the next full moon is, but you know,
True.
could be transforming. Think about it.
Maybe.
I'm the alpha. We're in a very silly mood tonight.
We are.
And you know what? It's probably for the best because we are reviewing Wolfblood, which originally aired on CBBC and also on ABC3.
Yay.
Those who know who, you know.
Yes. Oh, it looks like this.
Oh yeah, I
That
forgot
just
you
looks
had
like
that.
if that throws up any memories.
Yes, if you're a very visual person, I apologize if you're only listening to the podcast. For context, Anya held up the novelization, I believe,
Yes.
of the show. So, yeah, again, apologies if you're only listening and not actually watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, but Spotify does show the video, so you can just rewind and look.
Yes, so true. And you should do that right now.
Yes, but I guess we should get started. So, Steph, prior to this recording,
Yeah,
have you heard of Wolfblood?
I did not. I think by the time it came out in Australia, I think for me I was a little bit too old for it. But I actually have like no recollection of seeing this anywhere at all. So when you were telling me about it, Anya, I was like, I have never heard of this thing in my life. What the hell? Where did it stem from? But I see the vision now. Because as we'll get into it, it's kind of an entry level or a gateway drug, as
Yeah.
we described it earlier, to such shows as Teen Wolf and Supernatural, which we have discussed in great detail on this very podcast.
Yes. So, Wolfblood for me.
Yeah.
An obsession, I would say. The first 3 seasons. I don't count the 4th and 5th season because there are 5 seasons. But the first 3 seasons, an absolute obsession. I think I've watched the first 3 seasons through like 5 times or something like that. I remember even in year 12 in high school rewatching this show. Yeah, pure obsession. So obsessed. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I just obsessed is the right word. I literally obsessed over it in high school. Like in high school I obsessed over it. It was bad.
It's a sign of a good show, I think.
That's
That
true.
it was able to keep you hooked for so long.
Yeah, and then I got hooked on Teen Wolf. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Who won?
gateway.
We may not know.
But I guess
So, I was going to say, so what is Wolfblood about? Is probably what people are wondering.
Yeah. So a Wolfblood is a person who can turn into a wolf. They're like a species who like hide among the humans.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a bit of the plot summary. So Wolfbloods have lived among us for centuries, disguising heightened senses and abilities, and the majority of them blending in. Maddie, which is the main character, and her parents are the only Wolfbloods in their area/town, until one day a new boy named Ridian starts at Maddie's school. He just like rocks up. And Maddie's
Drama.
like, she literally sniffs and goes,
I know what you are.
I know what you are. So, with this show, we follow Maddie and Ridian as they try to keep their secret from their closest friends while learning more and more about themselves and each other. So, that sounds a good summary of it.
It is a good summary.
It's also like little enemies to lovers, almost, I'd say, for Maddie and Ridian, because when Ridian shows up, Maddie doesn't like him. And like through necessity, they have to stick together. And
Yeah.
by the end, of like by the end of season 1, they're like in like with each other, and by the end of season 2, we do get a kiss from them. So
Woo!
it's pretty X-rated for its kids show, but
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, no.
I personally found it very interesting because obviously I hear Wolfblood and my first thought was like, oh, it's like werewolf. And it kind of is like werewolves, but at the same time, they're very much not in the fact that they can turn at will,
Mhm.
um, and like can kind of control that, where like obviously the traditional werewolf does not,
Mm.
um, except during a full moon,
Yes.
from what I can tell,
Yes.
where like it is uncontrolled in the same way that a werewolf is. And I just think it's really cool. Yes,
And
go on.
when they change, their clothes don't rip in Wolfblood because it's a kids
Yeah.
show. So when they change back, they're fully clothed.
My God, I love any type of werewolf or werewolf adjacent media that does take that into account. I love it. I think it's such like an awkward thing that can be avoided if they like rip their clothes. I'm like, what are you doing?
Right?
It's embarrassing.
Because in Wolfblood, they actually like change at school sometimes. I'm like, how embarrassing
Mm.
would that be? Changing at
Yeah,
school and then you have no spare clothes.
exactly.
It solves a lot of plot they is solved through that.
Yeah, indeed. Um, but yes, do we want to maybe chat through some of the main characters? I guess outside of Maddie and Ridian, who we've kind of already touched on.
Yes, so the main cast, I would say, are Maddie and
Hmm.
Ridian, as we said, and their best friends, Shannon and Tom. So at the beginning, Shannon and Tom don't know their secret. Shannon is like hell-bent on figuring out who the beast is in their town. She's like going out at night in the woods, documenting her expeditions, trying to figure out who this beast is because she swears she's seen a beast, like it's
Yeah,
attacked her or something, and you know, she swears on it, and she's trying to find out who the beast is. Not plot twist, but spoiler, it is the Wolfbloods that is the beast.
yeah.
But yeah, Tom and Shannon like trying to go out to the woods, trying to find this beast, and like they're the main characters. There's also one other main character I want to mention who isn't
Mm.
too main of a character in the first 3 seasons, but she is the main character in the fourth and fifth season, and that is Yana. Now, I don't really like her all that much, but she is from Ridian's past, and she like follows him into the civilized world, and yes, that's all I can say about her. I don't like her that much, but yeah.
Fair enough.
um, there's other characters I'd like to shout out. There's
Yeah.
there's Kay and her friends. They're like the popular girls at school, and like they're mean and stuff, but they end up turning up being cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And I really love the teacher because he comes through. He comes through,
Damn.
especially
I
when
love a supportive teacher.
right. But yeah, those I'd say some good characters. But I'd love to talk about the cast for a bit, specifically
Hmm.
one person, and that's Amy Kelly, who plays Maddie Smith, the main character,
Yeah.
because Maddie's only in the first 2 seasons.
Yes.
Ridian's in the first 3 seasons, and then Jan and then Yana is the lead for the last two. Maddie,
Mm.
so the actress Amy, left the show after the second season for her education. She left for university.
Period.
Period. You know what? We gotta stand by that. And I
Yeah.
wanted to shout that out because you know what? This is a quote directly from her. It wasn't an easy decision, but sometimes education comes first.
So
Say it.
true.
Say it louder.
Exactly.
Like, was I sad that she left the show? Absolutely. I wish she was in the show for the
Yeah.
third season, but you know what? Education comes first.
Education is so important, and you know what? I feel like sometimes it's very rare for like actors, not necessarily just child actors, but like teenagers who seem to want to go all in on this acting gig, not really realizing, seemingly, that it might only be like a very short term thing.
Exactly.
And you know what? I didn't know that about Amy Kelly plays Maddie,
Mm.
and I'm thoroughly impressed by it.
Yeah.
Like, I respect that a lot.
I respect it too. Like putting herself first, and especially something like education, because education in that industry, like, it would be hard. And she's like, no,
Yeah,
I'm putting it first. I'm like,
yeah.
yes,
Good.
it's like slay queen.
Very true.
But yeah, I do have some other fun facts,
Yeah, would love to hear
included
it.
with that kind of stuff. So, not many fun facts to be honest, but the show was a nominee for the BAFTA Children's Awards, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
And then Bobby Lockwood, who plays Ridian, actually won Best Performer for the BAFTA Children's Awards in 2013.
Ooh,
So
that's impressive.
I thought that was cool. And then
Yeah.
lastly, the show in the early seasons was filmed in Blanchard. And that's all I gotta say about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess to kind of piggyback off of that, I have some notes on overall production, I guess.
Mm.
And just like more on like the development side of the show. So it was I laughed so hard at this. It was created by someone called Debbie Moon, which I was like, I'm obsessed with that name.
Yes.
Werewolf Moon, love it, love that you went all in on this.
Yeah.
But she actually basically created the show because she saw the words wolf in one book in a bookstore and blood on another and blended them together. Which I'm like, you know what? Good for you. Like,
Yeah.
I think, you know what? Creativity comes in many different forms, different shapes, different variations, and inspiration can strike at any moment, I suppose.
Exactly.
But it was commissioned after the BBC Writers' Room website announced that they were basically looking for children's drama scripts. And Debbie Moon was one of 8 writers who attended a conference centre in Kent. And after a few days of development, it became one of 2 new original children's dramas for the CBBC. Apparently, as you mentioned, it was filmed in the northeast of England. And there's like a lot of, I guess, I mean, you're filming in England, so there's going to be a lot of overlap with other series. The wiki lists Tracy Beaker Returns, which I've not heard of, but apparently there's quite a lot of overlap in scenery and locations just generally. And then overall production for Series 1 began in February of 2012 and then ran until May of that year, and was shot in kind of 3 different sections. So episodes 1 to 4 were shot, episodes 5 to 8 were shot, and then 9 to 13 were shot. They did get a second series, obviously, second season, and that began filming February of 2013 and ended May of 2013. So very like similar time frame in terms of like shooting. And I feel like, not to like bring it, you know, to now times, but I think it's so interesting that like they basically got, you know, a second season almost immediately after it started.
Yeah.
Because that does not happen, I feel, especially like with streaming services now. I feel like I look at another children's show, Percy Jackson, that released on Disney Plus. And like that released and it was overwhelmingly positive response. Like it did super well. It was really well received. But they didn't get a second season until like very, very recently. And I guess like the whole point is like you want the kids, the child actors to look the same because they're growing up like throughout the series.
Yeah.
You don't want them to look significantly older.
Like,
hence why you kind of get it immediately after it started.
exactly. And the actor who plays Percy, he's already taller than his co-stars, where he was actually shorter before. So like
exactly,
the height's gonna already annoy me. But yeah. And
just like
the boys' voices will be deeper, and it's just gonna be like it's gonna like be meant to be kind of close, you'd assume, to the first season, and it's just gonna be completely like different.
Yeah, Disney Plus, you are my enemy for what you've done to Percy
For
Jackson in
life.
this one. Yeah, for life.
For life.
um, but I guess like something else that I found interesting was all of the directors who shot on Wolfblood were always new to the series, which I thought was quite interesting. Um, and I guess season 2 was shot very similarly to season 1, and same for the third season as well. Began in February of 2014, ended May of 2014. So yeah, it's like very consistent shooting, you know, editing, release, which we just don't get that these days, to be honest. Um, I also have some little notes on, I guess, like a note on home media, the home media release. So the first 3 seasons were available as like physical like DVDs in the UK, US, Australia, and Germany. With Germany also having it released on Blu-ray, which I thought was quite interesting as well.
Wow.
And then obviously they're also available via like streaming services or I guess like online retailers like Amazon, where you could like rent or buy it through there.
That's cool. Now, marketing.
Yes.
So, it's a kids show, right? And notoriously, we've kind of seen that like kids shows don't really have that much marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We might see like a little promo, a little
Yeah.
trailer. There was
Yeah.
a Disney promo I found on YouTube, which was so American.
Trust.
I hated it. I hated the American voiceover over the show because I was like, it's awful.
Feels wrong.
So yeah, I didn't vibe with that. But there are
Yeah.
2 really cool things that we need to talk about. And I think
Mm-hmm.
first we should talk about these.
Yes.
So they released books. There are 4 books for the first 4 seasons. 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cool that they released them.
Yeah.
I think it's just like a retelling, I guess, just in word form. I can't tell you how good it is though, because
Yeah.
I've like read maybe the first chapter of the first one. I do have all 3 because they cost $6 each.
So why not?
So why not get them? But look, I might give it another shot now. Okay, so after this episode,
Sorry.
I might
Can,
actually read the books.
can you read the first line of the first book just so the audience knows maybe why you started and stopped?
So quickly. It was literally the prologue. I didn't get through the prologue. Here is the first line. The full moon hung like a bloated silver ball in the night sky, casting a ghostly light on the farmhouse and the desolate moorland.
Bloated? I don't know
Bloated,
about that.
desolate, like, oh, there's so many
It's not
words.
very exciting.
Ghostly, farmhouse, it's not a very intriguing first line. It's not a line that
No.
captures you, you know? I know, like, the moon's very important for, it's a very important plot point. So
Yeah.
there might be another way to describe the moon at a full moon, besides bloated
Yeah.
silver ball,
Yes.
but it's just me.
Just felt a bit wrong, bit
Yeah,
off.
I couldn't do it. But hey, I like that they have books, so
Yeah.
that's cool. But there's something else we can talk about that is almost cooler, and I'm actually sad that we can't like get access to this anymore.
I know.
And through the research, there's not only the official of this that I'm about to say, but unofficial versions as well. So, Wolfblood has a video game, or had a video game.
Well, yeah. R.I.P.
RIP. There was like an official one with BBC, and then there was a
Mhm.
bunch of like unofficial games that I found as well on through the research. So, Steph, I'll let you talk about it a little bit, I think,
Oh,
if you
yeah, yeah,
want
yeah.
to.
So, yes, no, absolutely. So we, just for some context, I guess, we were like, when we decided on doing this, we were like, oh, let's have a look at, I guess, marketing straight off the bat.
Mm,
Like, it just makes sense. We were not expecting there to be much because it was, as we mentioned, um, historically, there's not a lot for kids shows.
yeah.
Um, but we did find that the CBBC unveiled a multiplayer game accompaniment to the TV series,
Mm-hmm.
um, where it's like the fact that it's multiplayer as well. I'm like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's called Wolfblood 2 colon leader of the pack, is the one that I found.
Yeah.
And it's essentially like it seems like it was one for one to the series in from what I could find. Um, you could take on the character of a Wolfblood and explore the themes of the show. Um, Basically, fight your friends. It actually sounds like quite good.
Yeah.
I cannot lie. Um, but I'm just like the fact that there's an official
Game.
game, I suppose, as well. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Um, there were obviously a few more unofficial, and I think there was also another one called Wolfblood: The Mystery of Stony Bridge as well,
I think there
which
was maybe
may
two
have
or
been
three.
official.
I was gonna say, I think there's
Yeah,
2 or 3 because I found one called Wolfblood Shadowrunners. It was with CBBC and Player 3. They like merged to make this game. And it was cross
yeah,
platform, 3D app and desktop, 2 game modes, endless runner and story. They had main dialogue by Bobby Lockwood. Like,
like it's all very official. Like
yeah.
this other one, Mystery of Stony Bridge, like that was. I mean, it was only on mobile from what I can tell as
Mm,
well, but you had like Maddie and Ridian in it, struggling to live their double lives as Wolfblood. Um, and you kind of like make your way through the map. It's a bit of like a puzzle game from what I can tell. And I'm like, I'm just impressed by like the variety because I feel like TV and movie video game spin-offs I'm always a bit wary of because sometimes they're really bad. Although
most
they
of the
don't make
time.
them as much now. Um, but I think I really appreciate just like that there's so many different types of games as far as I can tell. You have like your mobile games, you have like multiplayer where you can verse your friends. Like you have the unofficial ones as well, which are a whole other beast.
Mm,
I don't know, it just that's crazy to me because I've not really seen anything quite like it for really anything else we've covered that's similar.
yeah. I just I wish I knew about these
Yeah,
like when they were active because I would have so played them.
yeah. And like they actually do look quite good, but unfortunately all these pages have since been taken down.
Mm.
Um yeah,
Rip.
lost media,
R.I.P. R.I.P.
truly.
Yeah, makes me sad. But it's
But
fine.
did you have anything on the unofficial games?
No, not really. I didn't really write down notes for those because like there was like actually quite a few. Like you literally
Yeah,
just search Wolfblood video game, and you get so many unofficial games, and it's just like there's just so many. So I didn't actually
yeah,
write them down, but there's lots there. So
yeah, indeed.
yes, but that's like all
Oh,
of our marketing, I think.
I have one more that I have just found as we are recording that I am quite intrigued by.
Okay.
There was like a spin off. Are you aware of this? It's not an actual spin off, it's a wildlife series exploring wolves that is hosted by Bobby Lockwood, who
I
played Ridian.
think I saw something about that, but I didn't look into it.
No, like, that's it's so cool because it's, like it's produced by BBC, so it's official, and
Yeah.
it's, like obviously the BBC has, like you have, like, your actual journalists and your actual, like, natural history people, um, but it's it's just, like, a very real series about real wolves and, like, talking about wolf behavior, and how it ties into the story from what I can tell, like, how it affects, like, the actions of characters. So that's, like, living in packs, like, defending their territory, being scared of fire and enclosed spaces, sense of
Mm.
smell and the like. So I'm like, that's, I think, such an interesting, like, way of pushing a kids show
Yeah.
because it kind of, like, ties it back to the parents, like, to the adults, the parents who are watching it with kids, presumably.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's the thing with, like, any kids series is that you do have to kind of reach the parents as well as the kids. Like, obviously, the parents are the ones who are making the decisions, so you do have to reach them most of the time. It has to be something that they can enjoy as much as the kids do, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good. Now,
But yeah,
I
that's my last little one.
yes, I love it. Now, I've got some sad news.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're not gonna have a fan fiction segment today. I'm so sorry. Look,
We
okay.
tried.
We did, okay? I looked at all 135 fics that were on the site and they just were not up to our standard.
No.
No, there were some things that were too explicit. There were crossovers that just didn't make sense, and then the stories that were left were just, I felt in my heart, not filling any gaps. They were just
Mm.
retellings, and they weren't good enough. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a little sad.
Are
Like,
we anti Maddie slash Ridian here on this podcast?
no,
Is it just a
actually,
bit boring
I
in the
actually
fanfic?
really like Maddie and Ridian. I love them together, and I actually did see some other ships when I was searching up, and they confused me a lot because I was just
Oh,
like, "What?
okay.
No, it's Maddie and
Okay.
Ridian." Like when I watched this show the first time, I like I don't know, the build up for them was really exciting for me. So like
Yeah.
I can't imagine them with anyone else. Like other characters, sure, but Maddie and Ridian, I'm like, yeah, they're for life. You know.
They're together forever.
Yeah, so
Truly.
like majority of the fics were Maddie, Ridian fics, but the issue was they just were telling like the stories they were telling weren't new. That like there was nothing
Mm.
interesting. It was just like okay, but that happens in the show. So like
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, you've just rewritten a part of the show and called it your own. Like,
yeah. Or it's
that's
like you
not
might
the
have added
point, I
something
think.
maybe slightly
Yeah.
different, but it wasn't different enough for me to go, yes, that's worth
Yeah.
reading. Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't want
Yeah.
to discredit the authors, but I just felt like, yeah, I didn't want to bring a fic to the pod and it wasn't like to my standards. So
Fair. Fair.
yes,
I was just
apologies.
gonna say as well, like, I think ultimately it comes down to it being, like, kids media too,
Mm,
right? Like, as we kind of touched on, it is very much like a stepping stone almost to getting you to more adult or more grown up media.
shows,
Um,
yeah,
Obviously, you have like Teen Wolf, which is like probably like the most one to one, I guess, part of this allegory.
I'd say so.
But that's kind of like, where a lot of the fanfic lies. You look at how much Teen Wolf fic there is.
That's like one of the largest fandoms, I swear.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind if we are covering additional children's based media moving forward, um, usually from like a nostalgia point of view, just something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, there just might not be anything.
Sorry.
Sorry, but it's okay.
Yeah,
If you guys really want, you can read about the bloated silver ball.
yeah. Open to a page and tell us what you see.
Okay. Ooh.
Oh.
Okay, I actually remember this episode. So, in this episode, they're like staying at. So they've gone over like this river or something. It's like one road to this island, and
Mm.
Ridian, he wants. This is gonna be his like. It's gonna be Maddie's first full moon where she actually transforms, right? And um, so he wants to like stay there because he thinks it's really beautiful, and he doesn't want to be with Maddie's parents to transform on the full moon. So he fakes an ankle injury so that the bus is late and can't cross over the road before the tide comes back in. So they're stuck on this
Yeah.
island, right? And then they're getting, so the scene where I've just opened is where they're getting allocated rooms for the night at this like
Mhm.
hotel, and Ridian is literally given the storage closet on the ground floor because he can't walk up the stairs because he has a really bad ankle injury.
God, stop. That's so funny.
Because like I can't believe I remember that. I'm really proud of myself. Because yeah, I'll read like the first little bit. But, like, rooms were being allocated, and as Ridian could not climb the stairs, bed. He was to bed down in what was actually a ground floor storage room. There was just space to put up a camp bed, but Ridian was quite content. And then yeah, um, Maddie was stuck in a room with the three Ks, which is
Mm.
Kay and her two friends,
Yeah.
and we're gonna ignore the name, but uh,
Oh.
yeah, um, they end up spending the full moon there, and it's Maddie's first transformation, and they get to like run around in these like cool tunnels and stuff. And Shannon still doesn't know that their secret, and she like hears them and chases them out in the night and stuff. It's a
Oh.
whole thing. But it's a really good episode.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Getting me intrigued. Maybe we'll have to find that episode and give it a watch.
I just don't just do the one episode. Just do all the first three seasons.
Fair, 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 fair.
Yeah. Oh, I'm actually so proud of myself. But anyways,
Yeah, that was like
stop
very
raving.
impressive.
So that was Steph and Anja's video review.
Yay.
If you guys could give us maybe a like and a comment or a little rating and like a follow, that would be really really cool. Helps out our podcast. Thank you for watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify. That was really cool. So thank you. Um, we have an Instagram and a TikTok, where we post things sometimes. And we also post the link for this podcast, so you can find it through there. But if you follow and subscribe, then that job's already done because you get notified for it anyways. You can leave us a Q&A and a comment, saying whatever you want. It could be a
Yeah,
recommendation, it could be something else,
yeah,
like a random comment or what you ate for lunch. We don't care.
yeah.
We love comments. They're
Would
the
love to hear
best.
it.
But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and if nothing else, outro.